Alright, so you're here because you're trying to figure out if you should buy an iPad Pro or an iPad Air as a student. You've already figured out that the budget iPad 8 is not for you because it's not compatible with the most up-to-date Apple Pencil and Apple Magic Keyboard, and at that price point you can find way better tablets out there. And you've also figured out that if you're going for the iPad Pro 12.9 inch, then you lose the portability factor of an iPad, and at that price point, you might as well just consider getting a MacBook. So we are going to keep this review very student focused, and at the end of the video, we're going to do a survey on what type of student you are and how that matches with a certain iPad. What's up? Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. I make videos with my little brother Matty. We're both doctors and we love talking about productivity and learning, so be sure to subscribe for new videos every week. There are a lot of differences between the Air and the Pro, but honestly, most of the differences don't even matter to us students. For example, color. The Pro has two boring colors and the Air has a whole rainbow of beautiful pastel options. Who cares? You're gonna put a case on it anyway. It's useless. Another example would be the ultra widescreen camera with center stage tracking on the new iPad Pro. Who cares? When we're on Zoom classroom, we don't even like having our cameras on, so why would you care about a camera that follows you around? It's useless. Dual speakers versus quad speakers. You're gonna be using headphones 90% of the time. It's useless. LiDAR sensor for augmented reality. Useless. And so many other useless features as we'll show here that most students don't care about. Useless. As a student, there are really two things that we care about: storage and power, and the price associated with those two. Will you have enough storage space to store all your lectures and notes? And is there enough power to support your specific needs? Let's talk about storage first. Apple is very clever with its storage, and they're always trying to get you to buy more than you need. The iPad Pro comes in a huge range of storage, but Apple knows that many of us students are also looking at the Air. So what did they do? They only give you two choices: a tiny 64 gig or a gigantic 256 gig. It's either too little or too much. There's no perfect in between because that would make too much sense. So based on this, if you can get away with 64 gigs, then go with the Air because it's substantially cheaper, and all the money that you save, you can use to buy accessories or whatever else. If you need more than 64 gigs of storage, then you should go with the Pro because the price of the iPad Air at 256 gigs is basically the same price as the Pro. So the big question for storage: is 64 gigs enough for a student? Well, if you only plan to use it for school, taking notes, going to class, then yes, 64 gigs should be enough. So I've scoured the internet on Google, Reddit, Quora, YouTube comments, and it sounds like the average medical student using a note-taking app like GoodNotes or Notability have gotten away with 64 gigs. Myself included. I bought the 64 gig iPad Air to test the storage myself, and I put all the essentials that a student would need, and looks like it's enough. You can also give yourself more wiggle room by using cloud storage and only streaming all your entertainment. But if you plan to be creative, edit photos, edit videos, drawing, then 64 gigs is not going to be enough for you. I would go with the Pro. Let's talk about processing power. The Air has an A14 chip and the Pro has the M1 chip. Don't worry about the names. The only thing you need to know is that the iPad Pro's M1 chip is the same chip you can find in a computer. The iMacs and MacBooks also have the same chip. So you're probably thinking,
wow, that's incredible. For the first time, I can buy an iPad with the same power as a computer.
Well, don't let this fool you, because even though the Pro has all this power, the current apps and software that's available for the Pro can't take full advantage of the M1 chip. So it's kind of overkill. Now, when it comes to RAM, the Air has 4 gigs and the Pro starts at 8. However, the current apps can't use more than 5 gigs at a time. So again, all this power is just overkill. It doesn't matter how much muscle you pack on your Pokemon if you're just going to battle a level 3 Diglett. You could argue that the Pro is more future-proof, but for right now as a student, it doesn't really matter. A quick feature that I want to mention here is a minor difference, but it could be the feature that tips the scale for you. And that is how to unlock your iPad. The Pro has facial recognition, which in our times can be quite annoying if you love wearing masks. But without masks, it's quite nice and seamless. The Air uses Touch ID, so you can just unlock it with your finger. So it really comes down to preference here. The other difference is that you can register up to 5 fingerprints onto your Air, whereas you can only register 1 face to your Pro. So if you don't want to be sharing your iPad with your friends and family, just go with the Pro.
Oh, hey guys. Thought I'd interrupt and steal the spotlight from Mike for a little bit. You're probably wondering, geez, where have you been, Matty? Well, I've been locked away studying nonstop for my med school boards, only slightly losing my mind. And that's in part thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Paperlike. Paperlike is a matte screen protector for your iPad that feels and sounds like you're writing on paper. Maybe you're not a fan of how glossy the screen feels. Maybe you have nostalgia of the Shakespearean era. Or maybe you're curious because you've never experienced the glory of pencil on paper. After all, it's 2021, I'm sure some schools have moved completely paperless. Well, Paperlike not only emulates a traditional writing experience, giving you more control with drawing, but also adds a grippy texture, provides glare resistance, and helps keep off those nasty fingerprints from you potato chip fiends. You know who you are. I've personally compared Paperlike against other screen protectors, maybe even made a video about it, and it's by far my favorite. My penmanship showed an immediate improvement, no joke. And hey, if you're not satisfied, they offer a money-back guarantee, good for 100 days, so definitely give it a try. I'll leave a link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you do end up purchasing one, it's also an easy way to support the channel.
So to put it all together, here is a simple framework that might help you decide which type of iPad best fits the type of student you are. Taking into account all the different sizes, storage, RAM, color, etc., of all the different combinations of iPad that you can get, the 3 that I think most students will buy are the iPad Air 10.9-inch 64 gig storage, the iPad Pro 11-inch 128 gig storage, or the iPad Pro 11-inch 256 gig storage. These are the 3 that I see most students buying, depending on what kind of student you are. So if you are a Class B student, meaning you plan to only use your iPad exclusively for school, you're trying to whip yourself into shape with the ultimate productivity tool just for taking notes, studying, and going to class, you plan to use mostly cloud storage, and you watch all entertainment on streaming, then the best bang for your buck would be the 64 gig iPad Air. And since you save so much money here, I would definitely pick up either the Apple Pencil 2 or the Apple Magic Keyboard, or both. I promise you, using the iPad with at least one of these Apple accessories makes the experience so enjoyable that you actually feel like you're going to ace every single exam they could possibly throw at you. If you are a Class C student, meaning most of your iPad is for schoolwork, but you also have a spicy side. You have an inner flame for passions, and you want to throw in some creative hobbies and entertainment. Well, then you'll want to go with at least the iPad Pro 128 gig, because storage is probably going to be the main deciding factor for you. And remember, if you want more storage, then the Pro and the Air are pretty similar in price at this storage range. If you plan to play a lot of games, some games can take a few gigs. If you plan to edit photos, storing photos on your iPad can take up a lot of space, especially live photos. If you plan to download a lot of movies or shows like from Netflix, or download your lectures to watch while you're offline or on the go, then you'll need a lot of storage. Now, if you're like us, you're an S-tier student, meaning that along with school, you're actively doing work online. You're surfing the line between school and work at the same time. You're either starting a YouTube channel, you're building apps, you're a podcaster, you're an artist, you're doing some kind of creative work online, or running some kind of business while you're in school, then definitely go with the iPad Pro 256 gig. Especially if you're editing videos, and especially if you're producing music, you're going to need the extra storage space. All right, fam, so I hope that was helpful, and definitely give this video a like if it was, but now I'm going to ask for your help. Comment below, what kind of student are you? Are you a Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle? This info is really going to help us make better videos in the future, so comment below, and if you want, you can even use an emoji. And after that, check out some of our other iPad videos right here.